Just outside the beautiful cities of Milan and Bergamo in northern Italy lies the Franciacorta circuit, one of the newest karting tracks in the country where the sport is predominantly based. 2023 marks the 60th year of the FIA Karting World Championship, so it's appropriate that the host nation is the same as when it began in 1964. It's the toughest motorsport race in the entire world, as weeks and months of hard work, training and relentless testing will finally culminate in 1 week of intense pressure. Just to prove how difficult it is to win this event, Formula One stars Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, Ayrton Senna and Sir Lewis Hamilton, who won over 20 F1 titles between them, were not able to become karting world champion. 10 years ago, a 15-year-old Max Verstappen did, and a year later, a young Lando Norris emulated him. It's an incredible achievement if you can complete the task, and this weekend, 123 junior drivers and 111 seniors from 57 nations around the globe will attempt to win their individual class finals. If they do, they emerge from the most demanding race in the motorsport community as world champion. So it's time to get ready for the roughest, toughest races these young athletes will compete in all year. The Franciacorta circuit is one of the newest and fastest on the calendar. Flat out through turn 1 before a tough braking point into the next 2 right-handers. Very tricky to get right. Sweep through the following left bend, on the power for 150 metres, and then prepare for a sharp braking zone into the square left. Power out of the adjacent left turn and then coax the car through the next series of right apexes, which vary in radius and elevation. Brave drivers will try and overtake through one of these 4 corners, but a natural overtaking point is into the next left-hander, which then opens out with a slight drop in gradient. You can open the throttle out flat through the next right turn and then 180 metres flat out, hopefully in the slipstream of your rival, but towards the tight and challenging right-hand hairpin, where a lot of action takes place. Through the final bend, the driver is flat again to cross the finish line. So how are the drivers preparing for the World Championship?
It's really important for me to be here, being world champion, racing the year after to try to defend my title, something I really want and I will really push for it. And I'm sure me and my team has been working really hard these past months, past days to achieve this, and I'm feeling really confident at the moment. And we don't have many Brazilian drivers. Actually, this year we have kind of a few drivers coming. I think after I won the World Championship last year, motivated many drivers to come race abroad, so it's really important for the motorsport as well, and I feel really good representing Brazil.
It feels really good to be back. Of course, I missed the last year because of my crash, so it's very nice to have the chance to fight for the World Championship again. Very happy to be able to represent Ukraine on this stage, and yeah, we worked hard to prepare for this event, so yeah, we hope for a good result.
I'm very happy to be here as a Moroccan girl driver. I'm representing my country and there is really few Moroccan drivers. It's really fun but still hard, you know, because racing against this driver is very hard. But I'm trying to do my best with a very good team and we'll see where we're going to.
I'm very excited. It means a lot for me, all the people at home watching me. It's a great feeling. All the supporters at home, and I just want to put a show on for these people and show them that coming from all the way from Australia, I really want to put a performance on.
And obviously it's an amazing feeling to be at this level. You know, I've worked so hard, and obviously to be representing the USA is a great feeling. Yeah, no, there's a lot of different drivers, a lot of nationalities. So yeah, we'll try my best and see what happens.
I'm very proud to represent my country of South Africa and I'm very excited. A lot of preparation, there's some really good drivers here, so it'll be a pretty hard weekend.
I'm very proud to represent Portugal, especially if I put the flag in the top step of the podium. That will be my goal, and I think we have the package to accomplish that.
This is my first World Championship and also my first year in OK Junior. I am also happy that I represent my country, Malta, as I am the only one from 126 drivers.
Europe to my home is so far away. Challenging World Championship is a new chapter for me. Living in South Korea to fly to Europe, yeah. It feels amazing to fight driving with high drivers, top level drivers in the world. So yeah, I'm so excited about that.
I'm very proud to represent Thailand. Obviously, we're not a very famous motorsport country, but yeah, proud to represent my country, and I'll try and do my best. Obviously, the World Championship, all the best drivers are here. I think we just have to do our best and keep our heads down and focus on the job that we have to do. And I think if we can do everything without having too many mistakes, we could have a chance, but there's a long way to go.
A record attendance for the World Championship greets the FIA Karting paddock at Franciacorta, with 123 junior drivers whittled down to just 36 finalists, with just 6 tyres per driver used from the start of time qualifying through 6 qualifying race heats and the super heat on Sunday morning. Paralin's Cristian Costoya of Spain lines up in pole position beside Italian star Filippo Sala, now at Ricky Flynn Motorsport. As race director Nigel Edwards informs them of the task ahead, Dries van Langendonck of Belgium and Team Soleil of Germany are ready to go from the second row, with Scott Lindblom of Sweden, David Kozma of Romania and Augustus Toniolo of Brazil waiting in the wings to challenge for the ultimate crown. The start of the race seemed initially fairly tame, as Sala would hold his position in the battle with Costoya and van Langendonck, but further back it was not to remain that way. Alexander Bondarev mounted the curbs and recovered at the back, whilst title contenders Lewis Werrell and Tibor Ramakers had been spat out to the barriers in a second chain reaction. To lose 2 of the race's biggest stars so early would set the tone not only for the race, but for the rest of the day. The replay of the start showed that once the chain reaction in the front of the field began, Ramakers was thrown over the front end of Werrell's kart, and therefore nothing either man could have done would salvage a finish. Van Langendonck made his bid for the lead on the second lap, and he would start to stretch away in a fantastic pace. Werrell would suffer a slight wrist injury to make matters even more agonising, but otherwise both he and Ramakers were upset but well. Back on track, Lindblom was daring to dream, and he stormed beside Soleil to make his move for P4, which allowed Kozma through in unison. Stepan Antonov would sense that Soleil was vulnerable too, and made his own move that Toniolo elected to replicate. It was refreshing to see a few names towards the front we weren't used to seeing, and it could be the sign of things to come in 2024. Lindblom's confidence was sky high after his earlier move, and now he took his chance to overtake Sala, putting his Tony kart into a podium position. But could he catch the leading duo? Kozma and Toniolo both found methods to pass Antonov, with Chinese star Sun Xiaoyu now becoming a factor behind him. Chris Alfagali, meanwhile, would lose out to his Australian teammate Lewis Francis. Soleil was determined to return to the front, but as he made his move, Sun Xiaoyu made the same move to defend. There was contact, but no harm done. But eventually, Francis was the man who took the wind out of Soleil's sails, and as the duel between the 2 men began in earnest, the defensive tactics held each other up, so that Alfagali and Toniolo suddenly appeared behind them. It was unclear who made contact with who first, but Soleil and Francis were out. Both men were angry and frustrated, knowing they'd have another year of hard work to do before they could try again. The battle behind the podium started to lose ground to the 3 leaders, but Kozma was doing his best to move forward, passing Sala for 4th. Then he defended, which gave Antonov the momentum to pass Toniolo. Frustrations were building and tensions were mounting, but the driving standards were fantastic considering the rising pressure. Antonov then managed the pace and the gap to storm ahead of Sala, as the Italian's chances were slowly fading. Managing an overtake is incredibly tough, as Sun Xiaoyu demonstrated. He made one move, but he would pass 1 and lose 2. This knocked his confidence, and an enraged Jacopo Martinez was becoming angry at his defensive tactics. The time they were losing would deny any chance of the victory. The battle that would then ensue would require patience, discipline and strength. Martinez would lose ground to first Alfagali, and then Finland's Joel Pohjola and Portugal's Noah Monteiro. Momentum and rhythm are a big part of racecraft in this sport, and one mistake can cost you several positions. Tiziano Monza of Singapore would add insult to injury up the crest. Pocula then overtook El Fagali to move himself up another position. But heading into the 15th lap, and with a good kart underneath him, young Tiziano Monza wasn't prepared to give up the challenge, and he saw a chance to pass Noel Montero, which he executed beautifully. Davide Battaro had now caught them up, ready for a challenge of his own, and Andy Consani was ramping up the pressure on Martinez. All the mechanics could do was coax in support from the sidelines. Arjen Kreling was ready to make his bid for glory, with a smart move on Henry Domain. This would motivate him even more, and he found a gap on the inside of Martinez, which Domain was happy to repeat just a few yards behind. After his problems at the start, Bondarev was charging through the pack like a bison, and despite a bent chassis, he would finish a stunning P14. Meanwhile, Monza's brilliant run came unstuck, as his front fairing would tangle up on the rear bumper of Sun Xiaoyu, but he would still come home a valiant P12. But up in front, the day belonged to Belgian superstar Dries van Langendonck, who gave his nation their first direct drive world title since Francois Goldstein's senior win at Paul Ricard in 1975, and the first junior crown since Mark Wouters in 1971. His pure pace had been unmatched and made him a worthy world champion. Kostoya and Lindblom would remain in the top three, ahead of Cosma and Antonov, Toniolo in front of Sala and Pocula, with the top 10 completed by Andy Consani of France and Davide Battaro of Italy. There is nothing quite like becoming world champion, but for all three men, it's a fabulous achievement to reach the podium for the very first time in FIA Karting. It made the rostrum even more special to see three new and very deserving faces. But for Dries van Langendonck, it's a special day he and the team will never forget.
Yeah, the whole weekend we've been very consistent in the qualifying heats, first and seconds. And then into the pre-final, we did a good job, managed to get into P3 for the final, and then just perfect off the start, just first lap following Christian, and then made a move into the left and managed to pull a little gap, which gave me a bit of breathing space, and then just controlled the pace, setting the quali laps towards the end. I can't explain how good I'm feeling. It's been a good start. 6 months ago I joined Forza and we've been very good from on then. For next year I'll just keep having fun as I do now and keep pushing as hard as I can.
Yeah, in the final I stopped P1. I don't want to defend a lot because Jurist could go in the back. Dries was faster than me. I let him pass and stay at the back. Managed a bit the tires if I can have another opportunity, but still he was so fast, and I just managed the tires to scold him, don't take me and pass me. This is my first podium in the FIA. Of course, in 24 is going to be a second challenge for the wall and try to do the best.
But it feels absolutely amazing to get this position third in the FIA World Championship, but starting out of position didn't get a super great start. Just trying to make the move on Teyem and Sala as quick as possible, and it worked out, but then I couldn't really catch Christian in the end. I really think that I can win the World Championship in 2024. This is what I'm looking forward to, always just preparing for the World Championship. The World Championship is the big one. It's the most important.
Third time World Champions for us now in the last 7 years. The longest race in the world when you're standing on the ladders watching, just praying for the checkered flag. But yeah, no, really proud of all my team, all our suppliers, Maček. You know, their service this year has been incredible for us and really helped us gain another level working with drivers. You know, Dries, Lewis, a bit unfortunate for him at the start, but you know, he would have been another one battling there. But you know, really happy, really proud, and we go again in a few weeks.
It's time for the race that thousands of drivers around the world have attempted to win, but only a chosen few will ever have the chance to conquer. and in 2023 it's more competitive than ever before, with 111 pilots taking on the race of the decade, with the last two European champions, Kia Nakamura-Berta and René Lammers, sharing the front row. Finn McLaughlin of Ireland and Gabriel Gomez of Brazil are just behind them. But with star talents such as Anatoly Kavalkin, Ian Eichmans and Joe Turney on the hunt for the glory, there's never been more pressure and more intensity ahead of a landmark event, the 60th running of the World Championship. The craziest race of the season was underway as Nakamura-Berta led off from McLaughlin through the first apex. The first big incident happened on the second corner as Kai Riliarts and Sebastiano Pavan were out on the spot. Luigi Coluccio, Simone Bianco and Emanuele Olivieri were involved in a separate incident, and none of them could recover, dropping the field by a grand total of 5 on the opening lap. Nakamura-Berta was leading McLaughlin and the fast-starting Joe Turney, with Gabriel Gomez storming back into P4 ahead of Kavalkin. McLaughlin started the attack on lap 2, and as Nakamura-Berta defended aggressively, Turney saw the gap was going to open up for him and took full advantage to surge into the lead. Eventually, Nakamura-Berta had to concede to McLaughlin for second. Gomez needed to start his own bid for victory, and despite Nakamura-Berta's defensive positioning, the CRG driver from Brazil was able to slip ahead efficiently. Behind them, Kirill Kutskov was up against Kavalkin and the two Premers of Alex Powell and Enzo Tyrvenichkul. Lammers had been held up at the start and was soon back ahead of Mattia Kolnagi. Meanwhile, Alex Powell knew he had a race-winning kart underneath him and soon challenged Kavalkin. Not only did he overtake the Paralin, but so too did Kutskov. Tyrvenichkul made a heroic dive up the inside of Kavalkin, which gave Lammers and Kolnagi the chance to do the same thing moments later. But as the next lap began and the battles continued to intensify, Nicolo Kuman would join Thomas Stolchemanis on the sidelines, as the Italian would retire with mechanical problems. Len Nyes wasn't able to reach the checkered flag either, after a clash with another competitor. Powell knew that rather than be solid and smooth as usual, he was going to have to wrestle for the win, and his move on his teammate Nakamura-Berta more than demonstrated the risks he was prepared to take. Kutskov was following in his wheel tracks, as the Japanese driver was sadly discovering he didn't quite have the pace to bow out of the sport as world champion. Powell continued his immense pace and tore ahead of McLaughlin for third position, but sadly it wouldn't last. A few corners later, and a miscommunication with McLaughlin saw Powell spin around and out at turn 2. It was a sad end to his karting journey, as Jamaica had clearly been robbed of its first potential world champion. Nakamura-Berta then passed McLaughlin too, with Lammers waiting to repeat the feat. It only took the Dutchman half a lap to do the same thing, and that had now put him into 5th position. Poor Alex Powell was left wondering what might have been. The title battle looked to be between Gomez and Turney, and the Brazilian was in fighting mode. The move was sensational, but the duel wasn't over. Half a lap later, and Turney tried again, but neither was prepared to sacrifice a chance to be world champion that had been a long time coming for both men. They touched wheels, and in an instant, their dreams became nightmares. They were both worthy of the crown, but both would have to wait again. This incredibly gave the lead to Kutskov and renewed hope to Nakamura-Berta, McLaughlin and Lammers. After recovering from his lap 1 woes, David Walter was then out for good after colliding with Andrea Dupe. It was tough to accept for Walter in his first race for the Tony Kart Factory team. Lammers then made his move on McLaughlin for third position and started pushing for more. Only a lap later, and Red Bull youngster Enzo Tyrvenichkul made a ridiculously easy pass on McLaughlin. It didn't make sense, something wasn't right, and a corner later, it was clear to see why. Mechanical failure brought the Irishman's brilliant run to an end, and the emotions bubbled over. A few yards behind him, and 3 more had been eliminated. Mark Dumnitsky, Oscar Pedersen, and Miguel Costa. Now half the field were gone. This was becoming a world championship that nobody wanted to win, and it was reminiscent of the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix. Lammers had nipped ahead of Nakamura Berta and was now pushing hard to become the first man to win the European and World Championship in the same season since the Renzo Travasanuto in 2019. The Dutchman and the Japanese ace had both been European champion in the previous 2 years. Nakamura Berta had been a junior world champion. But could they catch the DPK racing machine of Kutskov in time? There were now as many finalists at the side of the circuit as there were on it, and despite the agony of defeat, they were all keen to see if Kutskov could hang on. The drama wasn't over yet, as Jimmy Helias connected with his countryman Maxence Verbruge, who would limp home in P13. Helias, however, was the race's 19th retirement. Nobody would have predicted a victory for either DPK Racing nor Kirill Kutskov, but that's exactly what they did. 12 months after Matthias Morgato won for the team at Sarno, they did it again in dramatic fashion with Kutskov. Unbelievably, the last lap would see one final collision, as Gilles Caranta and Ian Eichmans would crash out, whilst Olin Galli retired further round. That meant only 14 finishers would actually see the checkered flag in the craziest World Championship for years. Kutskov was crowned ahead of Lammers and Nakamura Berta, with Time Vinichkul in front of Arthur Poulain and Kolnagi. Kavalkin would be 7th ahead of Louis Iglesias, Dmitry Matveev and Jan Pastrovsky, with only 4 other finishers behind them. Nobody will ever forget the 60th running of the World Championship. 22 retirements, a battle for supremacy between the 2 previous European champions, and one of the most unlikely world champions in recent history. But for DPK Racing and Kirill Kutskov, it's the ultimate underdog story, and they'll be celebrating for weeks.
Yeah, the start was really great, and the result was unexpected, to be fair, because through whole of the week we didn't have such a great pace to win it, but in the final we managed to find a speed, and the speed was good. A bit lucky with the first crash, McLaughlin with Powell crash, and I managed to go P3 and podium, and adrenaline was really high. And then I saw Turney and Gomez fighting, and when they crashed, I went in the lead and I started to pull away, but then it was slow procedure and red flags. The result is really good, and we were going for it whole the year, because I came to DPK and it was March, I think, and you know, when in European was going something not really well for us, Pablo always told me our goal is World Championship and we are going to win it, and in fact we won it, and that's only we're going for this year.
Yeah, I think the week has been going great. In the final, I think we got a little unlucky in the first lap, lost a lot of positions, but I think we managed to come back to P2. I think the team and I have done a great job setting up the chassis, also with GFR, setting up the engine, and I think we managed to put a great package together this season. We managed to win the Europeans, we managed to have good pace this weekend, become the vice champion of the world. So I think it's been a great season for us, and yeah, I want to thank all of them.
The weekend played out pretty decent from Friday to, I guess, today. We managed to win 4 out of 6 heats, and the speed was there all the way through. Yeah, the team did an excellent job. So they always prepped the kart perfectly and never really had any worries. Final, we missed a little bit of pace. We didn't change much on the car. We just bolted on 4 new tyres, and yeah, the kart just didn't stick to the track very well. But don't blame the team or anything. It's out of our control at that hand.
We knew that if anyone could make a comeback like that starting from 13th, it was Kirill. We knew it was very difficult, if not impossible, but sometimes the impossible is there to make it come true. As I say, it has been an incredible race. To win for a 2nd year in a row is so special. Thanks to the pilot, thanks to the work of the entire team, who worked terribly hard for a whole week. And there's nothing more to say. Now we have to enjoy the moment, we have to work to find more speed for the future, and, as I say, to enjoy the moment and nothing more. As the European Junior Champion Alexander Bondarev greets the new World Junior Champion, Belgium can celebrate in style, as Dries van Langendonck becomes the first Belgian to win a world title in the junior category of karting for 52 years. In the OK final, Nobody would have guessed that DPK Racing could win back-to-back titles. But then Kirill Kutskov was in the right place at the right time and took full advantage of the opportunity, keeping his head while many others had lost theirs. The celebrations will have only just begun, as the FIA karting season has finally come to an end, and Dries van Langendonck and Kirill Kutskov can take their rightful places in the FIA Karting Hall of Fame. For their opponents, it's time to begin again, in preparation for the next challenge. No matter what happens on track, karting never truly sleeps, and so for the other teams and drivers, they're already planning how to come back for more in 2024.